I've bought and sold millions of dollars of real estate, and I'm here to walk you through the best way to make it in real estate investing. Welcome to Real Estate Talk, where we talk about personal real estate and real estate investing. And the method that I'm going to show with you today is going to change your life. And the best part about it is there's only 5 simple steps to this whole process. And what is this method, you ask? Well, it's called the BRRRR method. This method is tried and true, and it's helped me to take homes that look like this and help me to turn them into homes that look like this.
Nice.
All the while being able to add millions of dollars to my portfolio in real estate and a ton of monthly cash flow. Let's see what each step is before we dive into detail on them. BRRRR is an acronym that stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. And we will go into detail in each step, but they kind of speak for themselves. When you buy, you're buying a piece of property. Then you go out and you renovate it. You want to fix up the property. After that, you want to find a good tenant and rent it out. After that, you go to a bank, you refinance the property, pull your cash out, and the last part is to repeat the whole process. Each step is critically important, and this is a perfect starter strategy for those looking to get into real estate investing. So now let's dive into the details of all this and let's make this really easy. So the first step is the buying step. Now, this is where all of your money is going to be either made or lost in the deal. You always want to buy your property once and you want to buy it right. You don't want to have to refinance 2, 3, 4 times down the road because you either paid too much for it, or you didn't get good terms on it, or you didn't shop around for the right lender. Now, in this buy step, it is very critical that you have your cash lined up because a lot of these properties are going to either be from the auction, foreclosed homes, off-market deals, cold calling, door knocking, because that is the best way you can find these deals. Me personally, I love going to the foreclosure auction because it's exciting and you know that the titles are pretty much going to be clean. So take the house that we just got done renovating and we're hopefully going to find a tenant for it soon. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, we'll have a tenant. And this property was foreclosed on, it was sold, it was horribly ugly. And the buying process is where we made all of our money. We did our research, we run the comps, we know how much it's going to cost in renovations, we try to get floor plans, we try to get square footage. You want to do as much research in this buying phase before you buy it so you know how much the property is going to cost when you're done with it, how much does it cost now, how much do you have to put into it? All of these numbers matter. And my rule of thumb is if I'm going to keep a house, I have to have at least a 20% or greater margin of profit. And the reason I do that is because I'm going to get a loan on this property at the end for an 80% loan. So anything that's less than 20%, if there's a decent amount of money to be made, you can just go ahead and sell this property and make some quick cash. But usually those properties aren't worth your time because you're going to have to pay capital gains taxes. Now, there are a few options on how you can fund properties like this. Number one, you can just have cash. There's that old saying that cash is king, and that's true. So if you have the cash, sure, you can go out and buy these. But there are way better strategies than this, and it actually doesn't touch your cash, and there's a potential for your cash to make money while you're doing this. So if you have a large sum of cash, you can go out and get what's called a securities-based asset loan, or it's a fancy term for a good line of credit. That cash can go ahead and sit in a high yield savings account, or it can sit in the stock market, whatever, and you can get a loan against that money. So that cash is still earning you money every single month, but now you have access to a line of credit that you can go out and buy these properties. Sure, there's going to be some interest that's associated with this, but your money that is in cash is earning money to help offset some, not all, but some of that interest you're accruing. And then at the end of the day, you've used none of your own cash to go out and buy these properties, turn them into something that cash flows, that has equity, and your money has helped you pay for some of this interest. Now, there are other avenues like certain lenders that offer hard money lending. There is some lenders that offer full 100% acquisition and rehab costs. Yes, they come with higher interest rates, but if you can qualify for those loans and borrow money and not use your own cash, that is the best way to do all this. Another piece of advice when you're in this buy step is to make sure you know the rental comps in the area. Because when you get down to the 4th step in refinancing, if you're going to do a DSCR loan or a cash out refinance loan, most of the time, these lenders are going to look at the comps for rent in the area. So if you think, hey, I can get $2,500 for, this home, but in reality, the comps say it's only $2,000, they're not going to care that you make 2,500. They're going to go off of the rental comps. Okay, now let's assume you've bought this property, you've done all the research, you know how much everything's going to cost. Now it's time to get on to the renovation phase. This is where you also can lose all that money that you have planned for in the first step. In this renovation phase, you need things like good contractors, good plumbers, good electricians, none of those shady guys. And it is always best practice to get guys who are insured and licensed in case things happen. You want to make sure you have good rapport with those contractors. You pay them on time. You're not someone who's a slumlord going to take money from them. But at the same time, you have to know when a contractor is not doing the right thing. The house that we just finished doing, I had great relationships with some electricians, plumbers, a contractor, roofer, landscapers, and we've worked together before. We've built up that relationship. And so we trust each other, but there's still that there is that side where this is still business. So let's do business the right way. Depending on the overall cost of your project, you could easily spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over budget, and that eats directly into your profit. And you could go from a house that has a 25% margin to a 10% overnight. So in step number 3 is renting. This is where you want to find a good qualified tenant. And yes, I know there's going to be those people out there that say you
can't always screen for this and that, and you never know.
That's all true. You never know who's really going to move into your place until they move in, start paying rent, and either they take care of it or they don't. But in this step, you want to try to do your due diligence and do everything possible to try and vet them out. Do they have a good credit? Do they make enough money to actually afford this place? Do they have a job? All of these things matter. Have they been kicked out or evicted from somewhere else? Do they have a lot of bankruptcies or liens or judgments against them from other landlords? And you also want to price your property perfectly in the market. If you know you can get $2,400 from this, but you get a good qualified tenant that is willing to pay $2,300 and it's been sitting a while, take the $2,300. It's only $100 a month. If you're still able to cash flow, do it. Get the deal done, move on to the next house. Now, the moment that this person signs a lease and you have that lease in hand, fully signed, you want to make sure you're going to a bank, getting the refinance done as soon as possible. There's another old saying that says time is money. The main loan that I like to use is a DSCR cash out loan, but you can always do a conventional loan, a 15 to 20-year loan. It's completely up to you. 15 to 20-year loans can be really, really good because you can pay them off faster. So if you have enough room in your equity and cash flow to where you can do a 15 or 20, definitely do that. But if you can't, there's nothing wrong with a 30-year DSCR loan. They're going to ask for very little from you. They might ask, do you have any cash reserves, which you should if you use a line of credit. You may even have some extra assets that you can add on there. Whatever the case is, they're not going to ask for a ton of information from you. They mainly want to just appraise the property, see what the average rents are in the area, and if you have a valid lease. So at this point, all you have to do is let the lender do their job. They'll tell you, okay, this is how much we can give you. If you've done your math correctly and you've done your numbers right, they're going to give you a loan for everything that you've paid for the house. You're going to then do a cash out refinance, pay back your line of credit. If you have any expenses that, are still left over, pay that off. You might even have some extra cash that you can use for your personal expenses. And y'all, because that is a debt and not income, it is completely tax-free. And then from there, you're going to go out and repeat the entire process. Step 5 to me is the best process because it means I've gotten through the first 4 steps successfully. And I've now learned a better way of doing this because I know that I just learned some information from the house I just flipped. So at this point, this is when you can sit back, relax, enjoy the fact that you've just successfully BRRRR'd a property and you can move on to the next one.